right from the 1960s, when Nigeria got its independence, the first coup, corruption was mentioned.
As in, how can the people now contribute in this fight against corruption?
When you look at it, fighting of corruption is not one man business. It's the teamwork. It's the teamwork. If we can come together and fight corruption, we can bury everything overnight.
As a citizen of Nigeria,
what can be done to make the society better? You know, as a woman here, you know, as a mother.
The society doesn't want to give these women opportunities because they think these women can come and dominate the role men play in the society.
Hello and welcome to The Advocate. My name is Jack Vincent Fidelis and I'm your host. On the program, as usual, we deliberate on issues of anti-corruption and accountability in governance. To discuss this, I have a guest who has been here before, who did justice to the topic one time. He's here to wrap up. I'm making reference to no other person but Honorable Kachalla Grema Kyari. Sir, you are most welcome.
Good evening, very welcome.
Thank you. Sir, I will set the ball rolling without wasting your time.
Yes.
What can political leaders do to positively impact on the welfare of the masses?
That's why election is a process, and it's a process through which political leaders emerge victorious, and it's a process through which mandate has been, given to them by the electorates. Normally, when they assumed leadership, it is expected that all the promises that they made during the electioneering process, during their campaigns, they should sit down, look at it, and then start the process of fulfilling those promises. I believe if they can do this kind of thing, definitely there will be a development, there will be appreciation by the electorates, and at the end of the day, even when they are contested, they will be elected. They will be given a chance to still go back and represent them.
Thank you very much. Now, I appreciate what you've said, and now I'll be looking at it from this angle. You are a politician.
Yes.
Good. Elections have been won.
Yes.
Our leaders have taken office.
Yes.
How can they be accountable to the people? Because without accountability, there is no way good governance can be entrenched in the society. So how can our political leaders be accountable to the people?
Yeah, the issue of accountability in democracy, in governance, it has two ways. We have electorates, that is the citizens, and the other way we have the leaders. Those leaders that are honest, that have honesty in them, they have what we call the issue of accountability in them already. They knew, assuming leadership in democratic governance must have the issue of accountability. They must account their stewardship at the end of the day. They knew it. And the other way is the electorates, the citizens, must ask those leaders what they have done, how far they have gone, the kind of promises they made, to what extent they have gone, and have they actualized all? If not, why? Why is the gap? And they must come and explain those promises that they have not fulfilled, and those that they have fulfilled. And that is the issue of accountability. And the issue of accountability, 70% rests on citizens. The citizens are those people that are supposed to ask questions. They're supposed to raise questions because these are the leaders. They have confidence in them. They have extended their own mandate to them so that they can go and represent them. They are people's servants. So definitely, if they are not accountable, they must ask them what happened. Why are they not so? And that is what will lead us to the issue of now accountability.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You see, since the return of democracy to Nigeria in 1999, you have been in the picture, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think we've done very well in terms of fighting corruption since 1999 up till date? Not much seems to have been done in that regard. Nigerians are still suffering the consequences of corruption in the system. Nigerians are still hungry. Nigerians are still unemployed because of corruption in the system. And this has been going on since 1999. So what will be your scorecard to the system? Are we doing well, or is there room for improvement?
Yeah, actually, the issue of corruption, definitely we are not there, but definitely already, effort is already on ground for us to be there. And for us to be there, there must be effort to be played by those in governance and as well by the citizens. Those in leadership alone cannot, make 100%, effort to ensure that Nigeria is corruption-free. Of course, the issue of, citizenship, the citizens must also play their own role, because the role of citizens as well as leaders is very, very paramount important in the issue of, corruption fighting. Leaders are those people that we respected, we extended our own mandate to them, and definitely, as you can see in the Nigeria, there are a lot of abandoned projects. Question is not being asked. Question is not being raised by those people that are very close to those, abandoned projects.
How can these questions be raised?
It's very easy, because if you see in Kenya, in other African countries, citizens will now wake up and start going. And more so, we have Freedom of Information Act already signed into law in Nigeria. You can go and ask, I want to find out what is happening regarding this project. Has it been completed? To what extent? How much money has been, budgeted for it? And of course, as the money spent all in that project, and you have to, of course, find out the level of the work done. And of course, they will give it to you. You will go to the contractor and find out, is the problem with the contractor, or is the problem with the ministry or the department or the agency? You can know. But in this part of the country, we have civil society that are very inactive, and some of them, they are active, but of course, if they start moving along the line because of some primordial sentiments, or because of one or the other reason that is best known to them, you will see they will now, stop somewhere. They will not proceed, if they reach a certain stage. But definitely, the issue of accountability, the issue of corruption is very, very paramount important. It's very, very important as far as democracy is concerned, because without accountability, without fighting corruption, development will not attain, and then, of course, the country will not develop. In Kenya, there are a lot of, civil society. Citizens will now wake up and say that this project is owned by who? Who is the contractor? Who is the agency that, give out this contract? They will go and find out, and of course, they will dig out to see that. And we have seen in so many, clips in Kenya, the project is going to be executed, and of course, anybody that is found wanting will be called to, to face the law. So it's possible in Nigeria. We are not saying it's not possible, but of course, effort has to be on ground, and the present government is doing great effort. And of course, citizens. The major problem is the citizens. Citizens must play their own role. The president of this country cannot be in Borno State, cannot be in Gala, Gaborone Gala cannot be in Abadam, cannot be in Enugu, Owerri. Those citizens that live there, if something went wrong, They're supposed to organize themselves, supposed to reach the appropriate channel their problems, channel their grievances in a peaceful way, so that they will find out who is responsible, where this problem lies, and that is how other countries is going to be better. We are talking about the issue of employment. We know Bureau of Statistics has released. Is it United Nations? The day before yesterday released a population of Nigeria which is 201 million. This population is very big population. If all of us, all the youths, are graduates that are completed in universities, polytechnic, and college educations are thinking of public sector, do you think it's going to be possible? It's not possible. Of course, the issue of entrepreneurship, the issue of thinking of doing something for yourself, these kind of issues supposed to be there. The unemployment, everybody is thinking that I have to go and work in Ministry of Finance, I have to go and work in Ministry of Education, NNPC. This notion is supposed not to be there at this 21st century. If you look at that issue of employment in America, 1% only works in public sector. But here in Nigeria, 80% want to work in public sector. It's very contradictory. This population is not going to be possible for all people to be observed in public sector. And then what is happening to agricultural sector, our industrial sector? There are a lot of sectors that are not tapped. Of course, we're supposed to make people, our youth, to understand that this is what ought to be done. And of course, the civil society, the government agencies, supposed to come out and make a kind of awareness for people to understand that this is the kind of route that we're supposed to follow. Or else, there's a time bomb, population of 201 million. Jobless youths, street kids, street adults, spread everywhere, anywhere. You can see the issue of Boko Haram here in the northeast, the issue of kidnappers in Kaduna, Zamfara. So many cattle breeders, herdsman issue. There are a lot of crises. It's because of the idleness.
I hope sincerely that will be looked into by the politicians, by our political leaders.
Thank you very much for spending your precious time with us. It's at this point that we want to go over
to pay some bills. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Right from the 1960s, when Nigeria got its independence, the first coup, corruption was mentioned.
As in, how can the people now contribute in this fight against corruption?
When you look at it, fighting of corruption is not one man business. It's the teamwork. If we can come together and fight corruption, we can bury everything overnight.
As a citizen of Nigeria,
what can be done to make the society better? As a woman here, as a mother.
The society doesn't want to give these women opportunities because they think these women can come and dominate the role men play in the society.
Good to know you are still with us. The program is The Advocate, a program designed to deliberate on issues of anti-corruption and accountability in governance. This is one program sponsored by the MacArthur Foundation and CTAD. My guest, Honorable Kachalla Grema Kyari, who is the Borno State Coordinator of the APC Aspirant Forum, has been doing justice to the topic. Sir, I appreciate you. And now, what measures from all you've said can be put in place to effectively fight corruption? You have spoken quite extensively. Now, what are those specific measures that can be put in place to fight this corruption?
Yeah, the issue of corruption, the first measure is, particularly the citizens. The citizens are supposed to know their own responsibility. As a citizens, if you don't know your own responsibility as a citizens of the Republic of Nigeria, there's a problem. And for you to know, you must have a better education. You must be enlightened. And that's why if you look at what is happening in our university education, there's no feedback. What we call feedback in education is very zero. A graduate that is coming out from university cannot write a formal letter.
That's true.
And that's a major problem. And you cannot expect this person to know his own responsibility as a citizen of Federal Nigeria.
That's true.
And of course, your citizenship, you're supposed to know your own rights and responsibility as a citizen, as enshrined in the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. And for you to fight the corruption, you must be enlightened. You must know what is happening in your environment. And that's why we're saying everybody is a politician. A politician is a person who determines who owns what and how. And of course, in your own community, in your own neighborhood, wherever you live, it is a government project. If this project is abandoned, you must raise a question. Where is it that this project is abandoned? Who is the contractor?
Okay, having said this much, sir,
Yes.
what can political leaders do to fulfill their campaign promises? During the electionary campaign, they made a lot of promises to the masses. So what can they do to fulfill these promises?
And that's why we are saying still goes back to citizens.
How?
The role of citizens in democratic governance is very, very crucial, that it determines a lot of things.
Okay.
And that's why in a civil society, in a society that is highly developed, you can see citizens' participation in governance is around 80 to 90%. And in a situation whereby in a developed country, citizens are not engaged in democratic governance. And that is why we have problems in Nigeria. If government is doing something, you can see only the people from government agency, department, and processors are doing that particular thing. Individuals, youth leaders, community leaders, religious leaders are not being involved. For them to know what is happening, for them to know what is going on there. For instance, if a bridge is going to be constructed in Guzamala, for example, the government will not seek for advice or guidance from that particular community. Government will not come and say this place is better. They will use their own technical aspect of the Ministry of Works maybe, but they will not take into cognizance. These people supposed to also be part of decision making. That is what we call citizen participation in governance. They're supposed to be part and parcel of. And that's why citizens, whatever, when you see development, citizens participated, their participation is higher and you can see development. The issue of politicians fulfilling their own promises is when a person is credible, he knows that he has to do it. It is his own responsibility to do it. He has to often access to citizens for them to have access to him, either through SMS, through phone call, or face-to-face contact.
An open door policy.
Open door policy, of course, so that whatever problem that they have, they will sit down and discuss. So that they will remind him, or they will even tell him things that are happening directly in his own constituency, without him even going down there. And that is what is expected of all our legislators, both at the state and federal level. Most of them, they're supposed to open constituency office in their own constituency, but you can see hardly they don't do that, and the communication gap is already there.
So, what would be your advice to
my advice is
leaders?
For them to let them have a kind of open door policy, open the constituency office in their own respective constituency, and let them have a kind of desk officer there who is channeling the problem that is happening in his own constituency while he's there at the federal legislative chamber or at the state assembly, so that whatever that has happened is at his own fingertip. Then he will sit down and now tackle it. Apart from, there are emerging challenges. Apart from the promises they made, there are some emerging challenges. Particularly we at the northeast sub-region. You can hear yesterday there was an attack in so-so place, this and that, fire incidents there, Boko Haram attack. These are kind of emerging challenges. Apart from the kind of promises you have taken, of course, you have to sit down and look at how are you going to tackle some of the challenges, apart from the one you have already promised?
Well, that is the much we can take on the program for this week. Honorable Kachalla Grema Kyari has been wonderful. We thank you for your presence with us. Keep it with us again, same time, same station next week for another wonderful episode of the program. Until then, bye.